This edition of Italy TV is sponsored by Colavita, extra virgin olive oil. And Cheerio chopped tomatoes.
On this episode, we visit Williamsburg to discover its Italian corner. Then we head into the kitchen of Tiro A Segno with Chef Giovanni. Spend a day in the life with Consul General of Italy, Natalia Quintavalle. Then a book review from Joseph Sciorra and La Parola from Fred Plotkin. Plus a look at a few events. All on Italy, New York.
Uno, ci vuoi zucchero o no?
Sì, zucchero, ma quanti cappuccini hai fatto?
Oh, non si sa quanta milioni non si sa, 45 anni. Io mi chiamo Cono Manzolillo, vengo da San Marco de Teggiano, provincia di Salerno. Sono venuto nel 66 con la Michelangelo. Poi ho aperto il 69 qua, perché qua non c'era nessuna pizzeria prima, no? È stata la prima pizzeria e caffè. Il primo caffè espresso l'ho messo io qua. La gente faceva una fila. La maggioranza che erano tutti italiani, sto contorno. Pochissimi americani proprio. Paesani, amici, napoletani, baresi, no? E loro si parlavano dialetto proprio, non italiano, dialetto. Ognuno che è italiano, che qualcuno andava a Manhattan, perché se già aveva che aveva a che fare, ma se no non ci andava, perché ci sono gente adesso che non sapevano, pure quelli italiani, che non sapevano manco camminare, non sapevano leggi. Questa zona era tutta italiana. Chi se ne è andato via, che è morto, che sono miscati adesso, no? Ci sono gente che non vogliono tornare più. Prima si poteva comprare una casa a 30, 20, 25 mila dollari qua, adesso ci vogliono 1 milione e mezzo.
My name is Mike Chiricella. I'm from Salerno, Italy. I've been living in this neighborhood 47 years, and I'm a first-generation Italian American. These buildings here is now all affordable housing for senior citizens and people who can't afford to live in this neighborhood anymore, because the rents went from, when I was a kid 40 years ago, to $150 a month to $3,000 and $4,000 a month to live in this neighborhood. So the only way that people in this neighborhood who grew up here can afford to live here is by getting affordable housing in this neighborhood. I always remember having a sense of, you know what, no matter what block I walked down, I always felt safe back then, that I knew that this was my neighborhood. This is the best bread in Brooklyn, right here, Napoli Bakery. And this young man here, I know him since he's 5 years old. I coached him in basketball and baseball. So he keeps the tradition alive, and I keep the tradition alive by buying the bread here. There you go, David. There's a lot of things that don't exist anymore. Italian restaurants have fallen by the wayside, and all you see a lot of bars cropping up, a lot of Thai food, and you have these small little frame buildings, and you have these tremendous condos that are, and these tremendous developments that are built right next to them. Places that you never thought you could see before. This laundromat used to be a club, a social club. There's no more social clubs left because there's no Italian Americans left to socialize like they used to be. So they left and they made it a laundromat. The Alligator Lounge across the street used to be a pastry shop called Galleria. the best cheesecake. That's gone. It is now the Alligator Lounge, one of many lounges in this neighborhood. I feel like a stranger in my own neighborhood. I feel like I'm in the minority, not in the majority anymore. I prefer to be the Williamsburg from 30 years ago. But I know that Williamsburg, it doesn't exist anymore, so I'm gonna transform myself with the neighborhood and try to do the best I can and stay here. But the Williamsburg from when I was a child is not here anymore, and that's the one I truly miss.
My name is Dominic Varuzza, and I'm first-generation American, here born in Brooklyn, New York, and my family comes from Tiro, Italy. Williamsburg to me is just like everybody else comes from this neighborhood. It's just like a part of your life. Everyone's like a family and a part of each other, and it's not the same now as what it once was 40 or 50 years ago, but it's nice having that feeling of camaraderie, knowing like someone on the street or your neighbor, or being proud that you come from a strong Italian neighborhood like Williamsburg, Brooklyn. The Giglio is kind of just something I was born into. My father, grew up in this neighborhood, so I mean, anyone who comes to this neighborhood, they know the Giglio, they know the feast. So he just kind of was drawn to it and wanted to be a part of it. He just started lifting the Giglio when he was like 15, 17. And then when I was born, I just fell in love with it right away. Since I was a kid, I was 4 years old, I would just always want to be around it, and the band and him. And every Saturday I'm helping build the Giglio, and I'm always in church, and it's an important tradition that I hope I can uphold, and that's around for my kids and my grandkids. Like, I got to grow up through it. I really don't know how this community will last as, a strong Italian community. Obviously it changed, just nowhere near what it once was, and a lot of people have moved away. And I feel like, as older people, will be gone at one point. Unfortunately, it'll lose a lot of it, but I think things like Italian restaurants and stuff that are mostly run by people whose parents immigrated to this country, a lot of them from where I'm from in Tiro, they kind of hold it, and people come back to this neighborhood to be a part of that. And they love to come back and talk about, oh, my grandfather was from this street and this, and people have that nostalgic feeling about Williamsburg. So I think that's what the Giglio does. And I think Giglio brings people back to what once was, a great Italian neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Giovanni Lanzarotti. I'm the chef of the Tiro A Segno, this rifle club in New York, and I am originally from Parma, Italy. We went to culinary school in Salso Maggiore, which is a spa city outside of Parma, near Faro from Parma. And I had a wonderful chef there who sent me in France and Switzerland for in the summers to learn more about restaurants and hotels. I stayed in Switzerland for almost 10 years. And after that, I came in the United States in 1987. Initially, I opened a restaurant with a couple of friends of mine. I stayed with them for 6 years. And after we split, and I became the chef here, and I thought I was going to stay maybe a couple of years as a transitional job. 20 years later, I'm still here, and I'm part of this incredible traditional Italian American family here in New York. I'm very traditional, and now after 20 years here, even more, because we do every month here we do a regional dinner from Italy. We try to change a little bit the old recipe to a little bit more modern way to present that. I discovered a lot more than what I knew before, because of that. One afternoon, the doorbell rang, and I went to open, and it was the mayor of New York, Mr. Giuliani. He says hello to me, and he said, "Oh, hi, chef, I'm Giuliani. the mayor of New York. I said, I know that. He said, I'm not a member, but I would like to have dinner here. I said, hey, you're the mayor, you come in anytime you want, I come from Albareto, which is a small town on the hills between Tuscany and Emilia-Romagna. And one of our best products, beside the Parmesan cheese and the prosciutto, is the porcini mushroom. So we're going to prepare risotto with porcini mushroom. We need a few ingredients for it. We start with olive oil, and we put it in a nice casserole on the fire. And we add chopped onion and just a little bit of garlic, not too much because I don't want the garlic to overwhelm the mushroom flavor. Then we're going to use fresh porcini, diced in small dice, We're going to saute this in the oil with the onion and the garlic, and fresh parsley, chopped. After a couple of minutes, we're going to take the mushroom out because I don't want them to be overcooked when the rice is going to be ready. At that point, we're going to leave the oil with all the flavor of the mushroom in the pan. We're going to add the risotto, the rice. We're going to warm it up, and then we're going to put a splash of white wine in it. And at that point, we're going to add the broth, and we're going to cook it for approximately 18 minutes. At the end of this process, we're going to put back the mushroom and some butter and some Parmesan cheese, and we're going to finish the dish, and we're going to put it on a nice, beautiful dish to present it. Enjoy it.
Io scendo. Arrivederci. Mi raccomando, avvertitemi. I'm Natalia Quintavalle. I'm the Consul General of Italy in New York since September 2011. As Consul General of Italy in New York, I deal with many different subjects. I'm also asked to visit some important place in the state of New York and Connecticut devoted to culture. One certainly a very important place for culture is the University of Yale. The first and the most important part of my visit was the participation to the conference on the Italian cinema organized by Professor Cassetti and the Yale University. It was a very interesting conference on many different aspects of the Italian cinema, especially the cinema born after the Second World War, dealing with the many different social aspects and the impact of the Italian cinema. What I liked is the idea of the campus. The idea of having a place where everything in a way or another is strictly linked to the university, to the research, to teaching, and so on. And this is really the most beautiful part of Yale. The second step was the visit of the art gallery. And this was really something very beautiful. The art gallery has been recently renovated. They have thousands of very important pieces from the Italian art of Renaissance to modern and to contemporary art, both European, like the Impressionist, or American. The third step was the meeting with the professor and students of the Italian department of the Yale University. We had a very interesting conversation about the role of the private sector in promoting culture and education. I personally think that the hero of the Italian culture is maybe a first interesting example of this kind of approach with the involvement of some companies, Italian companies, in support of the many activities of the hero of the Italian culture. After the meeting at the Italian department, we had the opportunity to visit the Beinecke Rare Book and Manuscript Library. And this is also something quite remarkable. It's a beautiful, very interesting building with thousands and thousands of rare books and rare manuscripts also. When I was in Pisa, as a student in Pisa, I thought that I could become an economist. What brought me to become a diplomat is because it was not possible at the time to have an exam to enter the university or and to be an economist. So probably if I were in Yale instead of in Pisa, now I could be an economist. I don't know what is better, if to be a diplomat or not. Last but not least, we had a very, very funny and interesting meeting with Professor and Judge Guido Calabresi. Guido Calabresi is really an incredible person and is a very important part of Yale University and of the Italian presence in this area. He knows everything. He knows everything about Yale. He knows everything about the history of the United States. So he's an exceptional person to talk with. At the end, we conclude this journey with the screening of a very beautiful film, Caesar Must Die, Cesare deve morire, of the Fratelli Italiani. This is really a beautiful movie, but at the same time is something which is really the expression of the Italian culture.
Thank you.
Many say it's double role. It's not a double role. The role is always the same. I'm a woman and I'm a diplomat and I'm a mother and I'm many other things. It's difficult to be the steering person in a big organization like the Consul General of Italy in New York. You have to be certainly very dedicated and very determined and in some cases assertive to keep the balance and to keep the right path. You have to be a little bit more in many different aspects than the man.
For a good number of years now, we've been seeing this amazing proliferation of all kinds of writing about Italian Americans. We have historians, we have fiction, we have memoir, we have poetry. And here at the Calandra Institute, we're really blessed because we get to present a number of these writers. And so I've been seeing over the past couple of years this amazing flood of new books on Italian American history and culture, and it's a way in which we can all have a better understanding of who we are, what the history has been, and how we've got to the place where we're at. I'm particularly interested in the revisionist history that many scholars have been involved in, and in particular the ways in which Italian Americans figured in the labor unions and the labor movement in the United States. For a very long time, Italians were erased from the history of the radical movement and the labor movement here in the United States. And it's probably in the past dozen years in which we've had historians like Phil Canestraro, Nunzio Pericone, Donna Gabaccia, Jerry Meyer, who've helped to change that notion. And the past couple of years, we've seen a new crop of historians emerge. And one of them is Jennifer Guglielmo, who has written this amazing book called Living the Revolution. It's called The Italian Women's Resistance and Radicalism in New York City, 1880 to 1945. And so what does Jennifer do? She looks at the women's movement, the women's involvement in the labor movement and among Italian American and American radicals in the height of the Industrial Revolution here in the United States. And she starts all the way back in Italy and shows that women were, in fact, were not just the passive players in the labor movements, in the transnational labor movement, but were in fact active players. They were leading revolts in places like Sicily and in the north, and were brought those traditions to here to New York City and in the United States in particular. And that's the book, and she shows the way in which they do that actively through labor demonstrations and through poetry and through the arts. And it's an exciting book, Living the Revolution.
The Italian word for today is calcio. Now that means calcium if you look on a vitamin bottle, but to every Italian it is the national sport, the national mania of football, or soccer, so that if you live in Torino you might root for Juventus or Torino and be a Juventino. If you live in Milan or Genoa or Rome, other cities with two teams, you might root for one or the other. But if you are from outside of Italy and you root for an Italian team, you might root for La Squadra Nazionale, because the Italians agree on very few things. But when they're playing in the World Cup, La Squadra, gli Azzurri, are the team that represent Italy the most. And basically there's Sophia Loren, Luciano Pavarotti, Giuseppe Verdi, and the Italian national team that unite the nation. That's calcio.
Ambassador Claudio Bisogniero visits the Calandra Institute's exhibition of 11 posters by John DeSantis in occasion of the Year of Italian Culture. President of the Italian Heritage and Culture Committee, Joseph Sciorra, gave a welcoming presentation along with a tour by Rosaria Musco and Joe Migliori of the Calandra Institute.
Siamo qui alla Casa Italiana Zerilli-Marimò della New York University per presentare l'8ª edizione delle Conversazioni. È un programma questo 2013 che ci riempie di soddisfazione perché assieme alla consueta edizione italiana che si svolge a Capri a cavallo tra giugno e luglio, destinata a scrittori, si aggiunge da quest'anno una doppia tappa newyorkese alla Morgan Library Museum.
Now we go upstairs and I think some good pasta and other stuff is waiting for us. Thank you very much again.
After feeding the spirit, we have also fed the body. And then Giovanni ran a restaurant, Pastificio in Cucina, prepares some very good, delicious food. Then we mix the tradition from our regions and, of course, lasagna. But not just bolognese, also springtime lasagna with asparagus and peas.
We are particularly happy because we have an extraordinary program, 6 Pulitzer Prize winners, and we start with Marina Abramovic and Dalian Libeskind in conversation about the films of their life.
An original work written by Alessio Bordoni, based on the autobiography of Charles Ponzi. Starting from the day Ponzi leaves his home in Italy, the play explores the swindler's life in the United States, focusing on his rise to the position as one of America's richest capitalists. John Turturro stars as a complex architect faced with regrets and in a troubled marriage. His arrogant and selfish character changes as he meets Hilde, played by Ren Schmidt. Organized by Veronica Santi, the event presents works by Nick Petruccelli and Verdiana Patachini. Part of the Italian Wave Showcase, each artist respectfully displays the arte povera movement and fantasy from reality images.
This edition of Italy TV was brought to you by European Flavors, promoting organically grown fruits and vegetables in the best European tradition. And Baci Perugina Chocolates. Say I love you the Italian way.